This is God's message to Hosea son of Beeri. It came to him during the royal reigns of Judah's kings Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. This was also the time that Jeroboam son of Joash was king over Israel. This whole country has become a whorehouse. The first time God spoke to Hosea he said, "Find a whore and marry her. Make this whore the mother of your children." And here's why: this whole country has become a whorehouse, unfaithful to me, God. Hosea did it. He picked Gomer daughter of Diblaim. She got pregnant and gave him a son. Then God told him, "Name him Jezreel. It won't be long now before I'll make the people of Israel pay for the massacre at Jezreel. I'm calling it quits on the kingdom of Israel. Payday is coming. I'm going to chop Israel's bows and arrows into kindling in the valley of Jezreel." Gomer got pregnant again. This time she had a daughter. God told Hosea, "Name this one No Mercy. I'm fed up with Israel. I've run out of mercy. There's no more forgiveness. Judah's another story. I'll continue having mercy on them. I'll save them. It will be their God who saves them, not their armaments and armies, not their horsepower and manpower." After Gomer had weaned No Mercy, she got pregnant yet again and had a son. God said, "Name him Nobody. You've become nobodies to me, and I, God, am a nobody to you." But down the road the population of Israel is going to explode past counting, like sand on the ocean beaches. In the very place where they were once named Nobody, they will be named God's Somebody. Everybody in Judah and everybody in Israel will be assembled as one people. They'll choose a single leader. There'll be no stopping them, a great day in Jezreel. Rename your brothers God's Somebody, rename your sisters All Mercy. Wild weekends and unholy holidays. Haul your mother into court. Accuse her. She's no longer my wife. I'm no longer her husband. Tell her to quit dressing like a whore, displaying her breasts for sale. If she refuses, I'll rip off her clothes and expose her, naked as a newborn. I'll turn her skin into dried out leather, her body into a badlands landscape, a rack of bones in the desert. I'll have nothing to do with her children, born one and all in a whorehouse. Face it, your mother's been a whore, bringing bastard children into the world. She said, "I'm off to see my lovers. They'll wine and dine me, dress and caress me, perfume and adorn me. But I'll fix her, I'll dump her in a field of thistles, then lose her in a dead-end alley. She'll go on the hunt for her lovers but not bring down a single one. She'll look high and low but won't find a one. Then she'll say, 'I'm going back to my husband, the one I started out with. That was a better life by far than this one.' She didn't know that it was I all along who wined and dined and adorned her, that I was the one who dressed her up in the big city fashions and jewelry that she wasted on wild Baal orgies. I'm about to bring her up short, no more whining and dining. Silk lingerie and gowns are a thing of the past. I'll expose her genitals to the public. All her fly-by-night lovers will be helpless to help her. Party time is over. I'm calling a halt to the whole business, her wild weekends and unholy holidays. I'll wreck her sumptuous gardens and ornamental fountains, of which she bragged, whoring paid for all this. They will soon be dumping grounds for garbage, feeding grounds for stray dogs and cats. I'll make her pay for her indulgence in promiscuous religion, all that sensuous Baal worship and all the promiscuous sex that went with it, stalking her lovers, dressed to kill, and not a thought for me." God's message. To start all over again. And now, here's what I'm going to do: I'm going to start all over again. I'm taking her back out into the wilderness where we had our first date, and I'll court her. I'll give her bouquets of roses. I'll turn Heartbreak Valley into acres of hope. She'll respond like she did as a young girl, those days when she was fresh out of Egypt. At that time, this is God's message still, you'll address me, dear husband. Never again will you address me, my slave master. I'll wash your mouth out with soap, get rid of all the dirty false god names, not so much as a whisper of those names again. At the same time I'll make a peace treaty between you and wild animals and birds and reptiles, and get rid of all weapons of war. Think of it. Save from beasts and bullies. And then I'll marry you for good, forever. I'll marry you true and proper, in love and tenderness. Yes, I'll marry you and neither leave you nor let you go. You'll know me, God, for who I really am. On the very same day, I'll answer, this is God's message, I'll answer the sky, sky will answer earth, earth will answer grain and wine and olive oil, and they'll all answer Jezreel. I'll plant her in the good earth. I'll have mercy on no mercy. I'll say to nobody, you're my dear somebody, and he'll say you're my God. In time they'll come back. Then God ordered me, start all over, love your wife again, your wife who's in bed with her latest boyfriend, your cheating wife. Love her the way I, God, love the Israelite people, even as they flirt and party with every god that takes their fancy. I did it. I paid good money to get her back. It cost me the price of a slave. Then I told her, from now on you're living with me. No more whoring, no more sleeping around. You're living with me and I'm living with you. The people of Israel are going to live a long time stripped of security and protection, without religion and comfort, godless and prayerless. But in time they'll come back, these Israelites, come back looking for their God and their David king. They'll come back chastened to reverence before God and his good gifts, ready for the end of the story of his love. No one is faithful. Attention all Israelites. God's message. God indicts the whole population, no one is faithful. No one loves. No one knows the first thing about God. All this cussing and lying and killing, theft and loose sex, sheer anarchy, one murder after another. And because of all this, the very land itself weeps and everything in it is grief-stricken, animals in the fields and birds on the wing, even the fish in the sea are listless, lifeless. But don't look for someone to blame. No finger pointing. You, priest, are the one in the dock. You stumble around in broad daylight, and then the prophets take over and stumble all night. Your mother is as bad as you. My people are ruined because they don't know what's right or true. Because you've turned your back on knowledge, I've turned my back on you priests. Because you refuse to recognize the revelation of God, I'm no longer recognizing your children. The more priests, the more sin. They traded in their glory for shame. They pig out on my people's sins. They can't wait for the latest in evil. The result, you can't tell the people from the priests from the people. I'm on my way to make them both pay and take the consequences of the bad lives they've lived. They'll eat and be as hungry as ever, have sex and get no satisfaction. They walked out on me, their God, for a life of rutting with whores. They make a picnic out of religion. Wine and whiskey leave my people in a stupor. They ask questions of a dead tree, expect answers from a sturdy walking stick. Drunk on sex, they can't find their way home. They've replaced their God with their genitals. They worship on the tops of mountains, make a picnic out of religion. Under the oaks and elms on the hills they stretch out and take it easy. Before you know it, your daughters are whores and the wives of your sons are sleeping around. But I'm not going after your whoring daughters or the adulterous wives of your sons. It's the men who pick up the whores that I'm after, the men who worship at the holy whorehouses, a stupid people, ruined by whores. You've ruined your own life, Israel, but don't drag Judah down with you. Don't go to the sex shrine at Gilgal, don't go to that sin city Bethel, don't go around saying God bless you and not mean it, taking God's name in vain. Israel is stubborn as a mule. How can God lead him like a lamb to open pasture? Ephraim is addicted to idols. Let him go. When the beer runs out, it's sex, sex, and more sex. Bold and sordid debauchery, how they love it. The whirlwind has them in its clutches. Their sex worship leaves them finally impotent.